Hello and good morning. My name is Jason Schuler. And I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions for Grand Rapids Community College, and welcome to our Futures for Frontliners presentation. I am joined by Ann Isaacson, who is our Associate Dean of Enrollment Management.
Good morning, everyone.
Today we're going to start out with a quick video and then get in the presentation and have a time for questions and answers after our presentation. So sit back for the video and then we'll get into our presentation.
If you've been at the front lines as an essential worker during the pandemic, attending college at GRCC could be totally free for you. Futures for Frontliners is a state scholarship giving free tuition to get an associate degree or certificate. If you worked in healthcare and public health, food and agriculture, public safety, critical manufacturing, or any of the 15 identified industries, you could qualify for free college. Bump up your earning potential in a current or future career with an associate degree or certificate. Or start here at GRCC and transfer to a four-year college having zero debt. There are 3 simple steps. Apply for the Futures for Frontliners Scholarship, apply to GRCC, and complete the FAFSA. The deadline to apply for the scholarship is December 31st, 2020. To learn more, visit grcc.edu/futures for frontliners. You can also contact us by phone, email, or text. If you've been thinking about going to college, now is the right time, and GRCC, West Michigan's best choice, is the right place for you.
All right, again, well, good morning. Let me take a quick second here and share my screen here with you so you can see our presentation as we go over a little bit about the admissions process at Grand Rapids Community College and also about the Futures for Frontliners Scholarship. So again, welcome and thanks for taking a little bit of time out of your day to go over some information with us. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to send them during the presentation through the chat function and we will address them as they come in. All right, let me get this going here. There we go. All right, let me back up. Thank you. All right, so Futures for Frontliners Scholarship. So who is eligible for this? This is a free tuition scholarship program for students who live in the Kent Intermediate School District. And as you can see listed on the left side here, the criteria for being eligible for the scholarship. You must be a Michigan resident. You must have earned a high school diploma, GED, or working toward a high school diploma. So that's one thing I want to go over a second here. To be eligible for the scholarship, having a GED or a high school diploma automatically makes you eligible for the scholarship. If you have not earned your high school diploma or GED yet, you are still eligible for the scholarship. You just have to continue to work on the scholarship, or excuse me, your high school diploma as you are attending a community college. So if you haven't graduated from high school yet, or you're still working on your diploma, you're still eligible for the scholarship. You just have to be working on completing it while you're attending GRCC. So you're still eligible for it. One key component of it, you have to have worked at least part-time 11 of the 13 weeks between April 1st and June 30th of this past spring and summer. So if you worked in a frontline or essential industry during that time, you are eligible for the scholarship. Another criteria, not have earned an associate's or bachelor's degree yet. You must not have defaulted on a student loan. And the key thing which is listed on the bottom there, and I hope it's not cut off, but hopefully you can see it. You have to apply for the scholarship by December 31st of this year. So at 11:59 p.m. Upcoming December is a scholarship deadline. So the state of Michigan requires that you apply for the scholarship by then. I should mention, if you have a pen or paper, there's a couple of other phone numbers and contact information I'm going to go through this presentation with. So if you have a chance to jot some notes down or put it in your phone, you may want to do that. So what is essential industry or frontline worker? You can see all the job titles listed there too. Now, someone probably doesn't have a title that says energy or hazardous materials, but if you fit into one of these essential industry or frontline worker categories, you are eligible for the scholarship. If you do have any questions, whether you're eligible for it, whether your employment made you eligible for this position during that time frame, on the top right, is the phone number. That's for the state of Michigan. So GRCC does not determine if you're eligible for the scholarship, but the state of Michigan does. That phone number up at the top right is 517-636-7000. So if you have any questions about your eligibility, if this scholarship does apply to you, feel free to contact the state of Michigan. I have heard that the best time to call are early in the morning. They do open at 8 o'clock. Usually there's less of a wait time. So, if you call mid-morning, you may have a little bit of a wait. Certainly not to deter you, but that's a good time to call. Again, all those listed on the left side there are the essential industry or frontline worker eligibility criteria. And they're also found on the state of Michigan's website at michigan.gov. So Futures for Frontline Scholarship in attending GRCC. To be eligible for the scholarship, again, you have to meet the criteria for working in one of those industries. And then there's some criteria that you have to meet while attending GRCC or another community college in the state. Big one is you have to start taking classes in the calendar year of 2021. So for Michigan colleges, most of them start this winter semester, the same with GRCC. Our semester starts Monday, January 11th, and you have to take classes at least part-time, which is pretty much 2 classes for 2 of our 3 semesters. So we have a winter, a summer, and a fall semester. Our fall semester is going on right now. So of those 3 semesters, you have to be part-time for at least 2 of the 3 semesters in the calendar year. And you have to start taking classes by the start of fall of 2021. So if you can't start attending classes this winter or summer to be eligible for the scholarship, you have to take classes starting at least by next fall of 2021. If you have attended college anywhere before and you have not earned an associate's or bachelor's degree, maybe you went to another community college or another 4-year state or private school, we want you to send your official transcripts to GRCC to see if you have any credits or courses to put toward your degree at GRCC. So we encourage you to send our official transcripts. And of course, if you need any help, our enrollment staff is more than happy to help you. We'll help you through the enrollment process, through financial aid process, and also work with the state of Michigan to make sure your aid is awarded to you. Excuse me, if you see on the right side there, our semester start dates, like I mentioned before, our winter 2021 semester starts January 11th and runs through the end of April. Life comes up, there's family, other commitments outside of work and school. So if you can't start this winter, you see our summer semester starts May 3rd, and then our fall semester starts August 30th. And the asterisks you can see, as I mentioned before, you have to enroll for classes at least by next fall to be eligible for the scholarship. Certainly we encourage you to start as soon as you can to work toward your degree completion. But if you cannot start this winter or summer, our fall semester would be the last one that you can start to be eligible for the scholarship.
Jason, we have a question that I thought maybe we could pop in with.
Yep.
And that question is, I heard there are so many people applying, there might not be enough for everyone. Is that true? And I want to say that I've not heard anything about that whatsoever. The state has anticipated that 625,000 people across our state may be eligible for Frontliners. At this point, about 66,000 people have applied. This is a last dollar scholarship, which we'll talk about a little bit later, which means that students have to complete the free application for federal student aid in order to be considered for Futures for Frontliners. And then if they have federal or certain tuition-specific state aid, that would be applied to their tuition and fee bill first before Futures for Frontliners. So I've not heard anything from the state that indicates that there'll be a cutoff or that there would not be enough funds for everyone. Jason, have you heard anything?
Same thing that you said. Very good question, but no, there is nothing that I've heard to say that anyone who is eligible for this will not receive the funding. So you'll be in good shape. Good question. Thanks, Ann. All right, so how to apply for the scholarship and also getting started at GRCC. Here's the 3 steps to help you get started with the process. And again, remember that deadline is at 11:59 p.m. on December 31st. Funds are not going to run out. I pretty much guarantee you that, but I can guarantee you that you will not be eligible for the scholarship if you don't apply by December 31st at 11:59 p.m. You want to apply for the scholarship on the michigan.gov/frontliners. Again, the state of Michigan determines if you are eligible for the scholarship. You can also set up an account to track the progression of your scholarship, see if it's been reviewed, see if there's any other documentation that's needed to provide the state to make you eligible for the scholarship. You also want to apply to GRCC, and you can do that on our homepage. And then you're going to want to complete your free application for federal student aid, otherwise known as a FAFSA. And here are those 3 steps broken down for you. Again, that website to apply for the Futures for Frontliners Scholarship is michigan.gov/frontliners. We certainly encourage you to create an account so you can track your scholarship and see the status of your application. If there's any other documentation that you need to submit, or if you have any questions for it, again, you can track the status of it through the state of Michigan. And that Michigan Customer Care Center, if you have any questions regarding your scholarship, that's the phone number listed for the state of Michigan to call. To apply to GRCC, you want to fill out our application on our homepage. It's just grcc.edu, and the application is right in the center of the homepage. If you've attended GRCC before, or if you've applied to GRCC before, you do not need to apply again. If you've attended GRCC before, you're still eligible for the scholarship, again, as long as you have not earned a certificate or an associate's degree. Excuse me, if you have not obtained an associate's or bachelor's degree at another school. If you've earned a certificate, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ann, you can still apply for the scholarship?
Yes, that's correct. But once you've earned an associate degree or a bachelor's degree, you would not be eligible for Futures for Frontliners.
Thank you. Again, any transcripts that you have, high school and or college, you're going to want to send those to us along with any test scores if you've taken the ACT or SAT. Once we receive all those documents, we'll let you know if you have to take any of our placement tests. Our campus is open, so you can take the placement tests on our campus, but we are also offering them virtually, so you can take them from your home, and I would be the contact to help you set up your placement test. If you have any questions about your enrollment process, your application, sending documents to us, our enrollment center phone number is listed down there, 616-234-3300. You also have to apply for financial aid in order to be eligible for the scholarship. So you want to complete the free application for federal student aid at fasfa.gov, and you will want to complete it for the 2020-2021 school year. Once we receive it, if there's any additional documentation you have to submit to us, we will communicate that with you. You will then send that to us, and then we will work with you with awarding your financial aid. Of course, our staff is available to help you, text message, email, phone, or you can also come to campus and we can help you with anything regarding the enrollment or financial aid process. You can also contact our financial aid office at 616-234-4030. So what does the Future for Frontliners Scholarship cover? If you live in the Kent Intermediate School District, it covers all of your tuition and our institutional fees. And our institutional fees are listed on the right side. Our student records, technology, facilities, and campus activities fees. Those are all covered by the Frontliners for Future Scholarship, or excuse me, Future for Frontliners Scholarship. The online and course fees, that is the responsibility of the student, and those will be listed along with your tuition bill. If you live outside of the Kent Intermediate School District, again, you're still eligible for the scholarship, and it will cover our resident tuition rate, and students are responsible for the difference per class for their tuition. Students are still responsible for the online and course fees. Again, this will cover a good chunk of your tuition, but if you live outside of the Kent Intermediate School District, you will have to pay the difference in tuition between our resident and non-resident tuition rate. But again, a good chunk of your tuition will be covered by the scholarship. We also want to make you aware to plan for additional expenses. Certainly having the tuition, either all of it or a good chunk of it covered, is a huge benefit. Students will be responsible for books and supplies for any class that you might take. Also keep in mind technology, transportation, and childcare. That's kind of some of those sometimes unexpected expenses that come up when planning for education. If you have kids and you have to have daycare or childcare provided, you want to keep that in mind. If you have to drive to campus and park downtown, if you want to have a laptop or any other technology things are needed for your coursework, certainly keep that in mind as you're planning and budgeting your expenses for attending GRCC. Here's some contact information. These are all GRCC contact info. Again, anything we can help you along the way. We really thank you for your service to Michigan and for everyone in the state here for helping keep our state open. Helping to meet our needs during the virus and the shutdown. We certainly thank you very much for that. If you need to get a hold of us for any questions, again, that's a GRCC contact. That's our Futures for Frontliners hotline. That's 616-234-3344. our webpage, which has a lot of good information on it regarding the scholarship and applying to GRCC. An email, if that's the best way to get a hold of you, futuresforfrontliners@grcc.edu. If text is better for you, you can certainly text us any questions you might have at 616-404-4519. And I believe Ann answers a lot of those. So with that, I will turn it over to Ann if any other questions may have come up.
Hi, thanks, Jason. We did have some good questions that came up. One of them I think was primarily covered in your presentation, but that was, does it matter if you live somewhere that isn't within a local community college area? And what happens if someone doesn't qualify for the in-district rate? So as Jason mentioned, this tuition would be covered at resident rate. So if somebody does live outside of the Kent Intermediate School District, they would need to pay the difference between the resident and non-resident rate. And but mandatory fees, as Jason explained, would still be covered. Any course-specific fees would have to be covered by the student or by another form of financial aid or assistance. So for our students, it would be about a 47% cost savings, even for those students that are not within Kent Intermediate School District. So it's still a very valuable opportunity. We had another great question, and Jason, I'm going to need to rely on you for this. But one of the questions that we received was, we have a student who was accepted as a Futures for Frontliner, and they began the GRCC application process, but the student graduated from high school some time ago, and at that time completed the ACT. We do now request the SAT, but what would that student's next steps look like in terms of placement into courses?
Excuse me, very good question. We would still take your ACT as placement. That's a little bit of a gray area. I would very much encourage you to still take our placement test, and we can just see how you scored on our placement test along with your ACT scores to put you in the right English and math classes to start. Again, our placement tests are not pass or fail. They're just an assessment. But like myself, like most of you, if it's been a little while since you've had a math class, math is a good thing to refresh on with our assessment test. Same thing with English. If it's been a long time since you've written an essay, we encourage you just to see where you're at. And we can use a combination of those two things to place you in the right class to start. So certainly send your ACT scores too, but we would also have you take the placement test just to get it as a good gauge to help you decide what are the best classes for you to start out with.
And another question, Jason, how long does it typically take for a student to receive their student ID from GRCC?
Once you've been accepted to the college, so either through transcripts and ACT or SAT scores or placement tests, you could get your student ID, give or take a half an hour to an hour afterwards. So if you come to campus or test or for anything, we can get that printed out for you right then when you're on campus.
Okay. And then another question has to do with residency. Is all of Kent County then resident rate? And I believe that is a no, correct, Jason?
Correct. Most of Kent County is 99.5 or so of Kent County is a resident rate. There's a few pockets around Kent County that are not considered in district tuition. Just for example, there's a couple streets in Granville. How the county decides those lines, I'm not sure. If you ever were wondering if you are a resident of the Kent Intermediate School District, you can look at your, I believe it's your summer property taxes. So if you rent, if you own a home in Kent County, you can look at your summer property tax. And if you pay into the Kent Intermediate School District, that means you're a resident. You could always just apply to the college and we'll help you determine if you're a resident or not. If you have questions on that, whether you think you should be or not, especially if you rent, our cashier's office will help determine if you're a resident or not. If you live outside of the district and you're going to move into Kent County, you have to live in Kent County for at least 6 months in order to establish residency. So if you live in Holland right now in Ottawa County and you're thinking of moving here, let's just say next month, by the time the summer semester rolls around, which is that 6-month window, you would then be considered a resident and receive resident tuition rate by the summer semester.
Okay, and do you happen to know right off the top of your head if Kent City is within the Kent Intermediate School District?
Yes, Kent City is. Yeah.
Okay,
I think there's 15 school districts, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 16 now. So, but yes, Kent City is considered Kent ISD.
Okay, and we have another question now. That question is, if I pass a semester and then life happens and I don't finish my degree, will I have to pay the scholarship money back that I've used for that semester? Mark, that question is a really great question. Obviously, the purpose of this particular scholarship is because the state wants its residents to reach a 60% degree attainment by 2030. That's called our 60 by 30 initiative. And so that's really why the governor and the state have made this funding available. So right now across the state, I think we're at about 45 to 47% of degree attainment. Now, that said, we do know that life happens. And so if you would have to stop out for a period of time, you would not be required, based on anything that I know at this point, to repay that scholarship fund. But I would encourage you that if you do encounter some life difficulties, to definitely reach out to GRCC, because we have a lot of support systems in place to help our students. We have a Get Help webpage, which can link students with community resources if you're struggling. We also have a food pantry for those folks that might have some food insecurity. We do have a number of other options that we can help with. And, if cost becomes an issue too, we know that we have a lot of our courses that offer low or no cost electronic textbooks. And you can actually search online when you register for classes for that. So there's just a variety of support services. There's emergency grants as well. So we want to be there to help students through those hurdles in life so that they can persist and complete that degree. Because that's really going to be helpful long run in terms of your earning potential and just your opportunities moving forward. So if you do start, and I would encourage any of our students, if you do start along this path with Futures for Frontliners and run into some hurdles, reach out to us. We're here to help, and we may be able to help you, as I said, overcome those hurdles. And let's see, another question. Once you start, you have to complete within a certain time frame. That is correct. So you do have to start within the 2021 calendar year. And from that point on, you have 4 years to complete your certificate or associate degree. I think that is the last question, but because I know that there's a time delay, I just want to give us a couple of more minutes to allow for any other questions to come in. Okay, with that, I'm not seeing any additional questions. And as Jason mentioned, please feel free. Oh, it looks like there might be one more that's being typed in. So we'll wait just a moment more. Okay, next question. Do I pay and get reimbursed? No, what we would do is award this as we would any other financial aid program. So once you're registered in your classes, you'll have an e-bill that you can go out and look at on your online center, and you'll see what your charges are. The financial aid department will review the results from your free application for federal student aid and determine if you're eligible for any federal or state grants. Those would be applied to your bill first, and then they would calculate what Futures for Frontliners will pay. And that would be applied to your account as well, and you would be able to see that, as well as any outstanding charges that may not be covered by the combination of financial aid that you have. So you would be responsible to pay any remaining balance prior to the tuition due date. But you would see that, and you would see what you're eligible for from the perspective of your e-bill, as well as from the perspective of your award letter that you would receive from the financial aid office. The financial aid office is just in the process right now of receiving the first rosters from the state indicating which students are eligible. They'll be reaching out within the next few days and sending an email from the Director of Financial Aid letting you know that you have been accepted to the program and GRCC has received that information. We are still awaiting information from the state of Michigan on specifics related to the awarding process. So we anticipate that awarding for Futures for Frontliners will probably not happen until November, but we do anticipate that those awards would be on students' accounts prior to the winter tuition due date, which right now is in early December. All right. So I think with that, we have no more questions, but please remember to, as Jason mentioned, reach out to us either at that hotline number, at our email, or the text number, and we'll respond back to your questions. If we can't answer those questions, we will often go back to the state and request some guidance and then get back with you. And again, we want to thank you very sincerely for all of your service to the state of Michigan. Without you, we just would not have been able to continue going through this pandemic. So thanks so much. Jason, any last comments?
Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the day.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Alrighty, I'll see you in a little bit.
All right. See
Good.
ya.